Good evening, everyone. It is John C. Morley here, serial entrepreneur. Welcome to IFYL, Inspirations for Your Life. I'm so happy that you joined us this evening. If you're new here and you're watching us, well, then grab your smartphone and go over to your camera and point to the QR code, touch the yellow ellipse. You get my link tree with lots of great information to improve the quality of your life. All right. If you're listening to us on a podcast, and just go to believemeachieve.com. I do want to thank you for popping in, whether you're here at replaying time like 12 midnight, 12 noon, 4 a.m., 4 p.m., 6 a.m., 6 p.m., 4:30 a.m., 4:30 p.m., 1 p.m., 1 a.m., or whenever you choose to re-listen or watch. I really do appreciate that. Let's get into our master topic. This is a great one this week. How to handle conversations, series 2, show 24, episode 4. So, how to handle conversations, series 2 means we're in our second year. We're on our 24th episode, and we are in the fourth show for that, with the fourth episode, I should say, for that show. And just got a lot to share with you. We're talking about conversations. And the thing about conversations is people have boundaries. And if you say, oh, gee, I don't have any boundaries, you do. And the way you know this is if someone steps on one of them, you'll suddenly realize, oh, I guess I do have boundaries. And so a communication boundary is basically a way of you keeping people at bay from what you don't want to talk about, conversations you don't want to get into. Um, they can be a variety of things with new people. They can be things about relationships. They can be about your dating partners, sexual experiences. They can be about tragic moments you've had. They can be about fearful times. They can be about embarrassing moments. It doesn't matter. So everyone has different kinds of communication bubbles for different, let's say, sets of people they're with. So we have the strangers, which is going to be big communication boundaries. Then there's the acquaintances, there's some there. And then there's the friends. And then there's the best friends, which is probably not many there. And so communication boundaries are a way that we start to, let's say, let people in or allow them to know that we trust them, because we don't typically just allow a stranger to talk to us about anything, right? I'll give you a perfect example. You're at a bus stop or you're waiting in line, and suddenly a stranger says to you, "Do you know what time it is?" And you say, "Oh, sure, it's 10 to 5." "Oh, great. Oh, you have an XYZ watch? Oh, I do too. My brother had one of those. How do you like it?" "I like it. It's really good." "Listen, have you ever looked at the other watches? I mean, I know they're a lot more expensive. Would you consider buying?" And now you might be getting into a spot that might make that person feel uncomfortable just because you mentioned the fact that it might be more money or anything like that, or you might have talked about an experience. So there could have been lots of reasons why that happened, right? So I think that's an important thing. And I know you're probably saying, think about that for a second. I know, ladies and gentlemen, that boundaries might seem foreign to you. They might. And so if they seem foreign, then realize what a boundary is there for. It's to keep you protected and to keep the other person protected. Because if you step on something or talk about something that's not welcome, well, that can be an issue. So, how do you recognize them? A good way to recognize them is to take your own temperature. Now, I don't mean, stick a thermometer in your mouth or in your ear or whatnot. I'm talking about how do you feel when someone talks to you about something? Does it make you feel good, like you light up with joy and emotion that's positive? Or do you want to cringe because of something they said? Or you want to cry? Or do you get angry? See, those are good ways of knowing if you're getting into a boundary. Maybe you're talking to someone and you were talking to them for a while, maybe about, maybe some hobby you had. And it was going great. But then suddenly that hobby got into some area that got them not so happy. And they didn't say anything directly, but their speed of communication slowed way down. And the amount of words that they started to, let's say, elicit became so slow. And it's because they really didn't want to talk to you. And it wasn't you that was the problem, it was the situation. It could have been you, it could have been the fact that, they don't feel comfortable with you, but it was the situation at the present moment. So if you can recognize social cues, are people standing with their arms folded to you? Are people looking off into the way yonder? When you ask someone a question, do they respond with an answer like, I'll give you a perfect one. You ask someone to, catch a bite with you later, and they say, all right, I'll get back to you. And then a day or two later, you ask them again, I was just wondering, do you want to catch a bite? I'm a little busy that night. Oh, what are you doing? I have things I have to do. Oh, like what? And so now I'm really prying. And now the fact that I've already pried twice like that, I'm starting to lose something with you, right? The respect level that you had for me is going down. You've already said you're busy. You maybe don't want to share what it is. Maybe it's something personal and you just don't want to get into it. You shouldn't have to. I should recognize when you say you're busy. Oh, that's cool. Well, maybe another time then. Let it go. See, everyone believes they have to get an answer for something, but some things you don't need to get an answer for, or I should say, you don't have the right to get an answer for. Now, does that sound funny? Well, it might sound funny, but the truth of the matter is, it's about how we feel at the moment. How we feel at the moment. So, how do we keep others clear of communication boundaries? Now, tonight we're just getting into the generals. Tomorrow we're going to get a little more specific, like what happens when you're in a cab or a car, a limo, and also we'll maybe touch into how it happens at a restaurant. So now we understand the basis. So, how do you recognize? And we talked about that. How do you keep others clear of your communication boundaries where you don't basically come out and say, "Hey, I don't want to talk about this." You don't like give them, "Oh, we could talk about anything, but just don't talk about these three or four things." You're hoping that they're not going to go there. And if they do, then you're going to have to deal with it. So when someone talks to you and you notice the communication, the pitch has changed, maybe in the voice, or maybe the eye contact has really changed quite a bit to be a lot less. The body language has gotten more like this, right? You might notice the eyes have gotten really open, like they're aggravated or annoyed. These are good cues to say, hey, maybe you should back the blank back because you're getting into some area that I don't want to talk about. Maybe you just got out of class and your friends, always get a B or an A, but maybe you didn't get a B or an A. Like, oh, what'd you get? I passed. And you said I passed. Well, what'd you get? I passed. That's all you need to know. And so they don't feel comfortable sharing the fact because they know they got a grade lower than you did. And maybe they got a C, maybe they got a D. and they don't want to share that because they feel that there's not enough trust yet. They don't know how you're going to respond and then how they're going to feel after that. And so they just rather stay at bay and just keep you in a big personal space bubble. I will tell you that people's space bubbles will change over time. They will change over time. And the reason they'll change over time is because your life is constantly evolving. That's right. I said your life is constantly evolving. What does that mean? It means that things are different every day. And so when you start to notice that someone's being a little vulnerable, like, hey, yeah, I mean, remember the first time I went camping and, you know, I tried to make a fire and all I did was keep wasting matches. Or I remember the first time I went on a camping trip and they sent me on this, you know, goose chase for dehydrated water or whatever it was. And suddenly you're like, well, what do I do? What do I say? And so when somebody's in the same kind of boat as you, it's easy to resonate with what they're doing. It's very easy. But if they're not in the same boat as you, then they can't relate. Perhaps you went camping with several other scouts and you get the idea because maybe they've been in scouting for a while. But you may not necessarily talk about that same thing with friends of yours at school that aren't in scouts because you don't feel like you're on the same level. Is social bubbling about excluding people? No, but it's about feeling comfortable. So if we can't feel comfortable about something, then we shouldn't let others push us into a corner just because they want to know the answer. Let's say that give you a perfect example. You got elected to office in your school, and one person didn't get in, and your friend asked you, "Oh, so Joe didn't get in, did he?" No. And maybe Joe wasn't your friend. Maybe Joe was somebody that you really didn't want to get in. So I bet you're really happy he didn't get in. Excuse me? Oh, you're really happy. I really don't want to talk about it. And so when you have to say something like, I don't want to talk about it, that's a very clear indicator that back off. If somebody says something to you like, hey, is Joe, bet you're not happy Joe get in. It is what it is. And if they go away, that's great. Then I push it. Yeah, but I bet you really didn't want him to get in. I don't want to talk about it. They didn't read the social cues. Ladies and gentlemen, I am John C. Morley, serial entrepreneur. It has been an amazing, of course, privilege, pleasure, and honor to be with you this fantastic evening. I hope that you will like, love, support the channel. Definitely comment below. Share those comments, those ideas, tag your friends, colleagues, and associates, and push this out to everyone you know on social media. Go to my YouTube channel, John Space C Space Emerald Y Space Serial Entrepreneur. Look for that key phrase to help keep our content free. Make the choice, ladies and gentlemen, to buy my team and I a cup of coffee, a bowl of fruit, or a savory dessert plate. You know, either way, we will put those pennies to great use to put them into new hardware, new technology, new equipment, new software, even new facilities to give you, ladies and gentlemen, the most jaw-dropping, motivational content to help you become a better version of yourself. But you know, ladies and gentlemen, None of this can happen until you make the choice that you want to change your life. All right. I hope you guys have a great rest of your night, and I'll see you guys tomorrow when we're going to talk a little more about what happens when that waiter just won't shut up, or that person in the limo, or the Uber, the Lyft driver. How do you just tell them to shut up in a nice way when they won't? We'll talk about how to cover that tomorrow. Have yourself a great night, everyone. Be well.